played so much. My carpal tunnel fingers are like flaring up because all the shuffling we did. It was so great. It was so great. The kids played, we played, the ladies gossiped. Like everybody was getting what they need. It was awesome.
Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Sea of Thieves Season 10, We Who Are About to Die, and PUBG. My name is Bobby.
I'm Nick.
And I'm wondering, why are we talking about PUBG again?
Because I got to explain some of the stuff that I wasn't able to actually elaborate about.
You mean you were wrong about last week?
No. Well, I mean, it was a Game of the Year episode, right? I'm not like focusing on the game. I just talked a little bit about it. But I want to give like the 20-year difference of what's happened, essentially.
It better be entertaining, man. That's all.
What is PUBG called these days? Because everyone has always called it PUBGs, but it was originally PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, abbreviated or the acronym is PUBG. But then they changed it to PlayerUnknown's PUBG, right?
But now it's even different again. It's PUBG Battlegrounds.
So I think we should just call it PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Just like the full title. Every single time we talk about it, you have to say the full title.
So we never talk about it again.
And that's a podcast, guys. We hit our limits.
My God. Well, what do you guys got going this week, Bobby? I know there's some big news for you.
Big news for me? What's big news?
Yeah, you and Emilio are going to be joining back the Smite professional leagues for the
Smite
geriatrics.
2. Smite 2 was announced. We'll be talking about that. But yeah, I don't know how big of news that is, but we'll get into that later. What is kind of big news is I finally got a new phone and I got a Pixel Watch too. Like I'm just
hell yeah.
I'm just
I think I it's all coming together, dude. A little bird told me that somebody got you, because getting a hold of you, Bobby, has always been like a challenge, let's say. Yeah. So a little bird told me that they got you something that's going to help you see notifications a little better. So I'm guessing that's the Pixel Watch.
Yeah, I mean the Pixel Watch does help. Like I get phone calls, text messages, emails right on the watch, which is great. But what I really like about the phone is I was so close to jumping to Apple. I really want to do the 15 Pro Max and like go full into Apple, but there were just things that came up. First of all, like I couldn't find a decent carrier. Like I use Google Fi and I'm like fully invested in the Google camp anyway. There are a couple of reasons, but I'm glad I did, because the screen on the Pixel 8 Pro is 120 hertz. It is, and like I noticed it right away. I was just like, whoa, dude. Like I'm scrolling through things. I'm like, this is super smooth. Like noticeable. It's like a monitor. You go from 60 hertz to 120. It's a noticeable difference.
Welcome to 2 years ago, bro. But the
iPhone doesn't have it. The iPhone is still 60 hertz. But the funny thing is, now that I have this watch, I rarely use my phone, or I use it even less.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I just kind of do everything on there. But it's great for working out. I love it for that. But yeah,
dude. For me, the big selling point is the sleep monitoring, because my sleep is so fucked. Mm-hmm. So I try different things to see how it affects my sleep, and that's the best thing about my watch. But also, seeing text. Look at this massive motherfucker, dude. It's basically a watch strapped. I mean, it's a phone strapped to my.
Is that the Ultra?
My wrist.
The Apple one?
That's it's the Ultra. Mm-hmm. It's $1,000 fucking. Yeah. But anyway, like, I love it. And I'm in construction. Not a nick on it, dude. I smack it around. It's made out of fucking, I don't know, God's tears, dude. Nothing happens to it.
It's made out of mithril.
Yeah. The Ultra's a great watch. I would have gotten that, but you can't have a Pixel phone and an Apple Watch. But.
Yeah. But which Pixel did you get, Bobby?
The phone or the watch? I mean, the watch is only the second version. It's the Pixel 2, and they got a long way to go. They're nowhere near Apple, especially on battery life, unfortunately. Yeah. But the phone, the Pixel 8 Pro, super happy with. That's great.
Man. Yeah. I mean, I miss my Pixels. Just want to remind everybody, if you want to see what we look like, see our backstories, see what we rolled on strength, dexterity, and intelligence, go to dlgaming.net. Then from there, you can go to our Discord, our merch, our Patreon, our whatever you want that's more than this, it's there.
All right, dlgaming.net.
dlgaming.net. That was I chose that, guys. I chose that.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. Fuck
All
yeah,
right,
dude.
let's get into On the Radar. So these are games that have come to our attention recently, and the first big one is Smite 2. So I got an email today, like an email that said, "Hey, Smite 2 is going to be released." I was like, "How do you have my email?" Like I did play a lot of Smite, but because I've never gotten an email from Hi-Rez before, and
Bobby, they have our DNA code by now.
At this point, yeah.
yeah.
From all the sweat from your mouse.
Well, when I saw this news, first of all, I was just like, is this an Overwatch 2 kind of deal? Because you think of Smite and like, how do you do a sequel to a game like that? Like, there's a lot of questions that I had right off the bat. So I did some reading. And first of all, like, why do we need a Smite 2? Their big reasoning was Smite came out 10 years ago. It was on Unreal Engine 3. That was a long time ago. They wanted to update the engine to Unreal 5. They are making some gameplay changes. I'm not going to bore people with the details on it, but they looked like not super significant. Like they aren't like totally reinventing the game, but they are making some gameplay changes. They have an alpha that you can register for, which I have already done. I encourage you guys to do the same. If you just Google Smite 2, like it's right there on their landing page. But that's probably going to happen in the spring, so I will definitely be checking that out. The big question that I had was, is this going to replace Smite 1? Like, is this going to, like Overwatch did, include everything from the original game, but just expand on it? And the answer is no. And that was very surprising because if you're going to have Smite 1 and Smite 2, you're going to split your community, really.
Right.
I don't know if that's like the smartest move to make, but I assume they know what they're doing. So this is going to be its completely own separate game, and Smite 1 is still going to be playable and available. They are not going to be able to bring over the skins from the first one into the second game. And the reasoning for doing that is they said that it would just take too long. They said they had 250. There's a whole article about it. I think it was on IGN. They said that, we've got 250 developers. It would take us like years to do that, to port all over this, port the skins over. And that's just to port them over as they are, not to update them with all the new animations that we're doing and everything else. So that's kind of a bummer for people who had spent a lot of money on those skins. But what they're going to do is if you spent 5,000 gems or whatever the currency is in Smite 1, they're going to give you that currency in Smite 2.
That's so crazy, dude.
That's the way to do it. If you make a sequel with the same characters and the same concept of a game and you're overhauling it or you're updating it, you need to provide some sort of benefit for the players that have played the first one. There has to be an incentive for the people that played the first one to go to the second one. And it's one of the reasons why League is not making a League 2. And they've said that they will never make one. They're going to make a MOBA and a fighting game, and that's it. That's all they got left on an FPS. But other than that, they already have an FPS, Valorant. But you will, if anybody ever does this again, if there's a Smite 3 or an Overwatch 3, you will have so many more returning players if you go, hey, all the skins you bought? Yeah. We're essentially going to refund them to you so you can buy new skins in the new game. 100%.
It makes me want to go back just to see what I can get with those gems. I spent so much fucking money.
Dude, you didn't spend that much. Think about the people who've been playing this game
the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. I mean, they said they had over 1,600 skins. I mean,
we've talked about this, Bobby, how much we thought we've spent. I think you spent more than I did, but
on
I think I
Smite.
was around
Oh,
$1,000,
dude,
dude.
I used to always brag about how I'd never spent any money on Smite, like $0. And then I finally bought their God package, like
Oh,
30
that's
bucks you
right.
unlock all the gods. I mean, it's a great deal. And I bought it right before I stopped playing, so I got no value out of it. But I have spent exactly $30 on that game.
You owe them that, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, the
pretty
game was
much.
originally $20. It wasn't free to play at first, right?
No, it
I don't
was.
remember.
It
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's always been free to play. Yeah, so they do have a Steam page up for Smite 2. You can go there, check out some graphics, some information. Um, this will be interesting to see. What was that game that Hi-Rez came out with and it got really popular and then it just completely flopped when they
Realm Royale.
Realm Royale. Yeah, it
Yeah.
Oh
completely flopped when they made
yeah.
one change to the game and nobody
Yeah.
ever went back to it. It was around the time that uh,
Battle Royales were.
battle royales were getting super popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a good one. It was so good. And then they changed some stuff and they didn't backtrack and then it just died on the vine. I feel like with all their flaws, High Res is like the studio that I would own. They just try shit and then backtrack when they fuck up and then just like it's how I would run a game studio.
Yeah,
A lot
they're
of
pretty
just
good about
trial and error.
communicating with their player base. I feel like they make a lot of good decisions. I'm looking at the Realm Royale Steam page. It's called Realm Royale Reforged. It's still out there, and let's see how many people are playing it. Da, 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 da. Oh, it doesn't tell me. All right.
Secret information, top secret information.
Maybe I don't have my plugin loaded, but that's odd. All right, I'll figure that out. But yeah, it's still out there apparently.
All right. Next up, we have Doom Infinite. Thank you, False Josiah. False Josiah has been giving me so much good information. He's telling me how to mod my Steam Deck. He is also bringing me mods. Um, so Doom Infinite is a mod for the original Doom, and or Doom 2. I'm not exactly sure, but it turns it turns Doom into a roguelike. So there are random weapons, like rarity levels, like blue, purple, orange, con. Um, there's random levels. There's random enemy attack patterns. It's the same enemies, but they do new shit, so it kind of refreshes the whole thing. Um, there's also 160 power up items, which are kind of like artifacts, if you want to think about it that way. Something you just hold on to, and now that's a modifier inside of the game. And then you can pick up weapon mod packs. So, with whatever weapon you do get, whatever ammo they do use, you can modify that even further. So, I, I listened to a 5.5 hour podcast with John Carmack, talking about everything, but mostly the programming side actually. Even though I know nothing about it. I'll listen to like a great chef talk about cooking, even though I don't know nothing about that. So I listened to that whole thing, and I love that guy, man. He's a very
I've never been.
interesting dude. And so anyway, after that, I was like, I really want to play some Doom, and almost like Kismet, the Foster Josiah was like, "Hey, Emilio, you should check this out." So it's a free mod. You just go to the website. I believe it's like Doom Infinite. Just put in Doom Infinite; it'll take you right to the mod. And it's a zip file, and you're playing it, in a few minutes. So I hope to be playing this next week, and hopefully it'll be on my highlights. But yeah,
So there
It's
was that other game that was a roguelike for Doom, except they turned it into a top-down game called Jupiter Hell. That was really popular a couple years ago, I feel like. But this is just like the original Doom as far as being a first-person shooter. It looks like they've got some weapon mods.
yeah,
Yeah. So for this one, it's interesting because I watched the same video you did. I was going to talk about this, but you already put it on. One of the coolest features about it, though, is when you start the game, there's like a thing that they suggest doing, and it's looking at what they call the nerdy imp, and the mod will tell you anything that's wrong with the game or the installation or the mod itself. So if you have the wrong aspect ratio, if files are missing somewhere or anything like that, it's like you can continue, but these are things that would cause crashes or possibly cause crashes, and you can just it'll tell you how to fix them or tell you what needs to be fixed, and you can fix them yourself.
It's like a debug before you run the thing. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and it's built into the game, so it's pretty sweet.
Very
Um,
cool.
some of the like enhancements for weapons. There's like a chain lightning effect. So if you have like a shotgun and you get that, like all your pellets do chain lightning. Like there's so many cool things about it. It seems like if like the creator said that before he goes to 1.0, he wants to do one more major addition to the mod, and it's to add this new play mode where it's truly um, procedurally generated, like the Binding of Isaac. So right now the game is Doom 2, right? You play through Doom 2 and random shit pops up and random stuff is available. But the mode that he's trying to implement, the main game mode of the game, is the ability to play procedurally generated dungeons and levels so that you essentially never run out of shit to do. And if he does it like Isaac, where he puts in bosses or anything like that, that dude, it's going to be such a good game or such a good mod.
Yeah, it's funny. Is last week you were talking about how like a game loses its soul once it goes procedurally generated. But when you're talking about a game like this where the soul is the shooting and the ducking and the moving, then you want procedurally generated.
So there's a difference between procedurally generated and procedurally generated to fill space, right?
Yeah, for
This
sure.
one is, you're like, oh shit, this room has 20 fucking demons inside, and it's a long line. You know, it's all this crazy, like exactly how it happens in Isaac. Sometimes you'll get in a room and you're like, I'm fucking dead. There's
Yeah,
nothing I can do in here.
so
But
true.
sometimes you're like, this is a breeze, or this is super easy. But in start, I mean, don't get me started. Essentially, we ranted about Starfield. I ranted about Starfield, and how when things go procedurally generated just to fill in a void or to be thrown in as a feature, it's usually when a game loses its soul.
Yeah,
They used to always brag. I mean, when procedurally generated maps were becoming popular, they would always brag about how many planets or areas or zones or whatever the game had. And it's like, yeah, but they all look like the same, except one's a different shade, or one has a rock right here, the other one has a rock right there. You know, it's just, it really wasn't that different. I do have an answer about the Realm Royale player count. So the all-time peak on Steam was about 105,000. Sounds about right.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah, and I would have expected higher.
dude, it
Maybe
was a good game.
maybe that's just on Steam. There, maybe people were playing elsewhere, but currently playing right now, 240 people.
Oh
So,
boy,
yeah,
oh boy.
that's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
that is pretty. Yeah, that's sad. Things that are not sad. Super Mario. Um,
Hey, dude, a little cute thing about my daughter. She just turned 4. She thinks Super Mario means superpowers, or she thinks it means superhero. So when she's running, trying to go super faster, she'll be Super Mario, you know. But then we watched Super Mario the movie, and she's like, "That's super." Like she doesn't like. She's like, "That's
she's
not
like,
Super Mario." Like
that Italian man is not Super Mario.
that's not what I thought that
Points
was.
at Superman. That's Super Mario. Damn it.
Yeah. But anyway,
Um,
talk to me.
so there's a new game, and it's not very often that you get a game from Nintendo and it's $50. But this is a new game with 160 levels. It's not your standard platformer for Mario, where it's like you're running through a level, you're jumping on heads, and you're riding Yoshi, or you turn into an elephant now. This is a puzzle game that relies on getting objectives to other objectives, primarily a key to a door. But there's a bunch of new mechanics. There's new like ways to jump with Mario now too as well. It seems very intuitive for some of the puzzles. Obviously, they're not going to show the later game puzzles and things like that because of the fact that it's like a big difficulty spike towards the end game. Some of the puzzles that they did show have been pretty just really not complex, but very interesting to look at. There's a lot of switches to activate blocks and deactivate blocks. There's enemies that you can interact with without killing them, in the sense that you can use them as transportation. Um, I just don't know how hard it's going to be and how long it's going to be. However, it is a Mario game, and my wife loves puzzle games, and my daughter loves Super Mario, so I'm probably going to be getting this.
Has there been Mario games before that are more on the puzzle platformer side?
Yes, so this is, I believe, a reimagining of the original one of Mario versus Donkey Kong, but there has been Mario puzzle games. There's been Mario RTSs, then there's been Mario. What is it? What is that called? Where it's like a turn based, but you have a squad, and it's kind of like XCOM. I don't know what the
Oh,
genre is for
tactical
that.
turn-based game.
Yeah, there's a tactical turn based Mario with Rabbids, which is actually all of a sudden selling super fast now, which is interesting. So yeah, this game's called Mario versus Donkey Kong. It's a very simple title. You can buy it online right now. Pre-orders are available. It's $50. But the cool thing is that it releases in a month. February 16th is the release date, which is so nice. You know, to announce a game, be like, that shit comes out in a month, dude. It's I don't know how Nintendo does it without stuff being leaked all over the place. But then again, this is probably not like a flagship game like Mario Odyssey was for them. So I think, go ahead.
I was going to say, what platform is this on?
So this is on the Switch, which is interesting because everybody and their mom is saying that the Switch 2 will be releasing in November of this year or September of this year. That's the time frame. But then again, people think they're going to be doing what they're doing with this game, where they are going to be like, the Switch 2 is available for pre-order and it comes out next month. That's why we haven't heard anything. Essentially, the Switch 2 is going to be the same console with just a little bit more bells and whistles and like better graphics. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see.
All right. Maybe we'll be able to play Smite 2 on our Switch 2s.
Hell yeah. So yeah, that was our on the radar segment. We're now moving to highlights. This is our games that we have played or interacted with in some certain way. Bobby, you want to talk about Sea of Thieves?
Yep, Sea of Thieves Season 10 came out a while back. I finally had a chance to play it over winter break, and I've continued to play it since then. The big announcement with this is they're finally giving people what they asked for, a mode called Safer Seas, which is the single player mode. Now, by single player, I mean co-op, but there's no other player ships around. And people have always wanted this. This has like been a big sticking point because I understand why Rare didn't want to do this, Rare being the developer, because the whole point of the game is to steal other people's stuff and be a pirate. And if you take the other players out of the equation, then it really changes the game at a fundamental level. Like that's a core design concept right there that you're changing. But I also understand the other side because you can just run around and talk to like whoever and people will just say horrible things over voice chat like most multiplayer games. So I totally understand why people would want a single player mode. What's weird about this is they gave him the single player mode, but you can only level up your faction so far. And you get something crazy, like I think 70% less XP or rep when you're leveling up, something like that. It's pretty extreme. And there's certain factions you can't level up at all in Safer Seas. And also, I couldn't customize my boat in the single player mode either. I guess because there's no one else around to look at it, but I'm like, yeah, I can look at it. Come on. Like,
I want my boat to look cool, man.
Yeah. So it really feels like a very weird version of the game. I do not like it at all, but I was
Did
playing.
you think you were going to like it?
No. I was playing it with someone who was new, so I thought this is perfect. Like we can set sail. And this is my buddy's kid too, so it was even better because I didn't want to like go set sail and then like a bunch of like teenagers start yelling like racial epithets at us, you know, and have to explain that to a 9-year-old. You know, didn't want to deal with that.
Don't be running around being a bunch of racial epithets then.
Okay. This brought a couple other things too. So there's a Safer Seas mode, which you know what, whatever. I don't care too much about that. But guilds. So the guilds was kind of a weird concept when I first heard it. I was like, what does that actually mean? Because it seems like a game, like all games have some sort of this guild this guild part to it. But what you can do with this, you can share your ships. So if you join my guild and I'm not playing, then any ship that I've dedicated to the guild, you can just hop right in it and sail my ship around. And I think you can even level it up too. Also, if I'm playing the game and someone's in my guild and they load up and they can see, oh, this person is sailing around in their guild ship, I'll join with, I'll jump into that game. And you can also collectively earn cosmetics. So as you level up your guild, you unlock more cosmetics. It really seems, I think you can get like 25 or 30 people in a guild, but I don't know. I started a DLG guild. I think there's maybe like 2 people in it, including me.
It's you and the 8-year-old kid.
Yeah. But I don't, I see some people doing this a lot. Like there's some people who just play nothing but Sea of Thieves. So I could see them getting more out of this, but I don't think I'm going to be doing much with it. And with season 10, of course, they've got a new mission, Skull of the Siren Song. It's just another mission, go grab this, grab another thing, bring it over here. Everybody tries to kill you and take it. But they also updated some of the hit detection, which I thought was a good move. So I'm not talking about the ships. I'm talking about the actual combat, specifically with the swords. It always felt a little weird in that game. Not weird, but not picky. It seemed like, I don't know. It felt like saber fighting in Dark Forces too, where you just kind of wave them around and hope you hit somebody. But they've improved the hit boxes on that, so it's supposed to be more accurate. But yeah, that's it. Season 10. Still a great game, man. I just love playing Sea of Thieves.
It's such a calming experience most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time.
Until somebody runs up to you and starts screaming crazy shit.
Yeah, which honestly, it doesn't happen to me that much. Like I don't really see that too often, but you read the comment section in the Steam page, and a lot of people have different experiences.
You guys played together how many times, and how long ago was that?
I think we've only
3.
played together once.
And
Yeah,
that was
1 or
enough for
2
you,
times, yeah.
Bobby?
A couple months ago. Well, I don't know if Nick really plays that much. I
don't
don't
play.
To be honest, I don't play that much either. Like during December when I had some time off, that was like the first time I went back to the game in almost half a year. So it's just the tough thing about Sea of Thieves continues to be the time investment. Like if you're going to sit down and play it, you need a couple hours. Like you really shouldn't sit down and play it or even start to play it if you don't have a couple hours to invest.
Yeah, because some of the missions are like, hey, go to this island, pick it up, and deliver to this other island. That's all the way across the map. Well, it's going to take you 45 minutes to get there and back. So,
yeah.
And then if there's no other players, like,
yeah.
what are the chances something fun is going to happen?
Skeletal ships or krakens.
Yeah, it's the stuff that comes up. That's what takes up the time, and that's what's the most fun. So, like,
Right.
I could just run into another player ship, and then we start fighting, and then, they retreat or I retreat, and then we come back and fight some more. And, like, I've had engagements that have gone on, like, 45 minutes with people, like, back and forth. We sink them, they get another boat, they come back for us, and we're trying to get the treasure and turn it in before they do it. Like, it's just... And you can't just, like, pause in that kind of gameplay. This is not a game where you can just hit pause and come back to it. Like, you really just need to be focused with no interruptions if you want to get stuff done. The good thing about it is... when I first started playing the game, I'd like lose a bunch of treasure and I'd be so upset, like, oh my God, I spent all this time getting this treasure. But then as I played more and more, I realized it doesn't matter. Like, you really earn, or you get treasure at such a slow rate that it looks like all this treasure, but then you turn it in and you get like, boop, like that little bit of XP or reputation for it, especially at the higher levels. So it really, in the larger scheme, it's more about just doing a lot of it over a long period of time and not just like one big haul this time, So I don't know if that makes anyone feel better if you lose a bunch of loot or get sunk while you're carrying a bunch of stuff. Like,
Well,
it's
yeah,
really not that big of a deal.
I feel like it does, because you're like, I didn't lose everything in the world just now. It just lost a little bit. Were you ever, question for you, Bobby, have you ever been the little shit that stole somebody else's loot at the last minute? Like right before they were going to turn in on the island?
Yeah, but not that much loot. And again, it was probably newer players too that were like, "Oh my god, I'm never playing this game again. I spent all this time getting all this loot," and they just
Right.
didn't realize like it's really not that valuable. You know, it's just
Hmm.
like it's more about like the Athena's Call, which is a reputation you get after you get Pirate Legend. It takes forever to level that up. Any way you go about it. So, you know, it's like, yeah, it took you a long time to get it, but you're gonna have to do that like 100 more times anyway, just to get, get a decent level on that
How
reputation,
does
that
that work?
faction.
Any XP whatsoever goes towards that, or you have to be a pirate?
What do you mean?
For Athena's
Like
Legend.
I think that
Oh,
you have to
you've
be.
got to hit rank 50 in 3 factions to get Pirate Legend, and then you can start working on Athena's Call or Legend. Yeah,
What do
Athena's Call.
you what do you
Yeah.
do
What do you
for
need though?
to level that up, like individual, like after you once you get Athena's Call, what do you have to do to level up the
Oh, you
faction?
just do quests for that
Oh,
faction. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
specific quests for that faction. Yeah, and that's also deceiving for new players too, because you'll level up like 1 to 20 or 30 like really quick, and then when you get to like 30 to 40, like by the time you get to 45, it takes as much time to get from like 40 to 50 as it does to 1 to 40. So
Oof.
yeah, it
It's
really
that
scales
WoW
up
leveling
quickly.
right there. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Sounds like EverQuest. All right. Cool. What do we got next? We got We Who Are About to Die. Um, I think I mentioned something on a podcast. I was like, wouldn't it be great if you had like a gladiatorial simulator that where you kind of build your character and also manage the money side of it. And then I think it was Sniper who was like, it exists and here it is. And it was a game that had a demo. It's called We Who Are About to Die. And that was before it had its 1.0 release. Now, and I played it and I enjoyed it. And um, I just put it on the shelf. Then Amanda bought it for me because it was on my wish list. I probably would have never bought it, but I'm so glad that she did. I wasn't like blown away, but after I sat down and started playing it, and then it was 6 hours later. It was like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, oh geez, because it's also a roguelite. Um, so you play kind of at you play when the gladiating is going on, when the fighting's going on, you are controlling one character. And it's Nick, you might know what I'm talking about here when it's kind of like Examina, that game where you like swing is a swing. Do you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to move your mouse around and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That
it's almost like grabbing the tip of your sword, and then if you swing
throwing
left,
it. Yeah.
yeah, you throw it. You could also throw weapons too, which I don't because it's so risky. But you could throw shit too in this game. But yeah, you're kind of like flinging it about, and it sounds cartoony, but it's not. It actually feels a little more real than right clicking for right hand and left clicking for left hand. But it's a little goofy. It takes some time for getting used to, but holy shit, man, you get in some fights where it's coming down to the wire and it feels like a Street Fighter match when nobody has any health and the next error is going to be the loss. And this game delivers that feeling a lot, very consistently. Um, so the fights, the the matches consist of all kinds of different stuff. Yeah, it could be one versus five guys with no benefit. You just go in there,
Yeah.
and a
Good
lot of
luck.
times, yeah, a lot of times you don't know what you're going into. You could pay money to find out what you're going getting yourself into, or you could not and try to save money. Um, a lot of the time, so there's 4 or 5 patrons, and they all have their own. One's all about money, one's all about tactics. One's all about so you can make them happy doing different things, um, and that's a good way to make money. So anyway, you're not just one gladiator. You're like a school. So
Like a team, yeah.
once one guy dies, another guy spawns, and then you play as that guy. And I think the best and most refreshing thing about this game was the random builds that came about. So, one time I was a retired soldier that fell on hard times that went into gladiatorial games. Obviously, his combat scores were way up. The people loved him because he was a war hero, but he was older, gray haired. His stamina was dog shit. And so I had to try to compensate with that with like very high medical bills and stuff like that. Um, and so and then also like taking way less armor on him because the more armor you have, the less you regenerate stamina. So has each spawn has its own challenges and pluses. Another time, I was like a desperate politician. So like that guy had no money, but he knows how to play political games. So he knows how to sweet talk to patrons, but at the same time he fights with a militia. Like he comes in no matter what fight it is, he comes in with two dudes that like fight for him. And
That's very
so
interesting. Yeah.
it's cool because it really helps. Obviously, you can switch to a knife and just backstab, but the crowd hates you, and you can never get your like because the more excited the crowd is, the are you not entertained? No, they're not entertained because your slaves killed the other guys, right? So you got to take that into account. And then what was another one? I started as a slave. That dude had nothing, dude. He was like naked and afraid, basically. And but every time you did well, the crowd was like just like
Going nuts.
going nuts, dude. And so your multipliers were great on every individual fight. So a bunch of so I would always choose the lowest for him. I would choose the lowest difficulty, um, because it would always reap great rewards because of the bonus. Um, but for the guy that had two guys fighting with him, you always go with the highest, but you net about the same amount because his slaves are doing most of the not most. You still have to work, but like yeah, that goes into it too. You gotta think about how you're gonna spend your money for healing yourself. You gotta weapon upgrades. You have to think, there's a but not like an overwhelming enough, not like football simulator or anything like that, but like there's enough things that you have to keep an eye on to make it interesting. I think anybody who picks this up and starts playing it, you're gonna think the combat is wacky, and it is kind of wacky, but it works. It's not broken, and or at least I couldn't break it. And yeah, I was on the edge of my seat several times where you were like, if I just get this one, should I rest this week? Should I just take a long nap and make no money, or should I push it one more time? And it's all risk versus reward. Really well done. Graphics are okay. There's like weather effects and stuff that keeps everything kind of fresh, and you really don't know what you're going to get in yourself into most of the time. So, yeah, very good game. And there is a goal. Like if you make 100,000 dinars or whatever it is, you can buy your freedom, and that's there's a
That's
goal.
the end game.
One of your slaves is finally gonna do that, but yeah, you never get. I mean, I haven't gotten very close to it, but I really like the game.
This looks like it's a solo developer too. Jordy Lakier. It's
Thank
pretty
God
neat.
for you, Jordy. You fucking keep on keeping on, bro. It's pretty dope.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
but it's no PUBG.
dude, it's no action packed PUBG. I'll tell you that. So I think last week I put in 13 hours in PUBG or 14 hours in PUBG, which is quite a bit. So I played PUBG back in this original like beta days, and like when there was only one map, like the vehicles weren't really a thing. There was like maybe 10 guns in the whole game. And I'm playing it now, and there's a huge difference. Obviously, the game has changed publishers and developers. It's now being developed in Asia instead of in the United States. Uh, Things are very predatory when it comes to monetization, but luckily it's all cosmetic. None of it's gameplay based. But what I will say is there are some costumes that make people jealous, and there's one in particular that like everybody, if in the preloading screen, everybody will go to this person and immediately start punching them, and it's the costume that is a giant turkey. It's the worst tactical costume because it's bright orange, and so if you're in a forest, you're just gonna stand out. But it's such a funny costume, and everybody wants it. Um, what's also interesting in the fact that I've been playing it for so long in the past couple weeks. My account got reset to level one because they changed a bunch of shit. And you can't play ranked until you're level 80. I'm now ranked 78. Um, and what's very interesting, but I don't think the game developers will tell you this, when you're when you're lower leveled, you will play against way more bots than you will when you're higher level. And I don't know what it is. It could be recently they did a huge bot ban because they did, but still you can definitely tell when they're bots. They'll shoot one shot that's accurate and then mix the next 20 shots, and they never fire full auto, and they never move and shoot ever. Um,
They make don't they? I feel like it's all built up to make new players feel powerful
it
because
is and it isn't, because when you kill like, oh, I got 13 kills, and you're like, all right, cool, and then you're like, I'm so good, and then the next round you get obliterated by a real player because you landed next to him. It's very apparent and disheartening. You're like, oh, my stats are padded.
I remember
Um,
PUBG Online or PUBG Mobile was getting like it got mobile game of the year and stuff. So I went and tried it out, and I won my first game, and I was like, "This is so strange." And then it turned out
yep.
like 75% of them were bots.
Bots. Yeah, and
Yeah,
the reason why there's so many bots, right, is not for real money trading in the sense that you sell items like in Tarkov, which is a shit show right now. Um, it is the idea that you sell accounts that are above level 80. And so you can play ranked immediately. So people buy them from anywhere from $10 to like $100, depending if it's already ranked. There's a whole like world apparently once you get into ranked gameplay. Um, there's a new map. It just came out last week. It's called Rondo. Um, man, is it interesting? So there's now 10 maps in its entirety. There's maps that are they're like by size is I mean their size is determined by how many grid squares they have. One grid square maybe takes like 2 minutes to run across, or I won't say 2 minutes, maybe like 5 minutes to run across. There are 10 by 10s, which are these massive maps that are usually only reserved for like 4 player teams. There's 8 by 8s, which are the original map size. And then there's a 3 by 3, which is this tiny map that's on a volcano. And it's very interesting. So every map kind of has their own gimmick. The one in the volcano, there's no airdrops. There's helicopters that fly around and you shoot them down, and then that's how you get drops and like power weapons and stuff. But the new map has a very interesting gimmick that I think is really enticing in the sense that it causes people to actually fight. So around the map, in every major settlement in the map, there are these little stores. And when I say stores, the level 1 stores are like a locker. That's it. The level 2 store is a fucking truck you have to run into, and you're extremely vulnerable if someone's sniping and they're just aiming in the inside of the truck. And I haven't seen a level 3 one because every time I try to go to one,
huh.
there's like 80 fucking people there. Um, and so what each one does is like a level 1 you can only buy attachments for guns. A level 2 you can buy every gun that's not a power gun, and the level 3 you can buy everything. And the way you get coins is by finding them on the ground or selling attachments. So, um,
I like the
every
idea of shooting down the price because you're using up your ammo and you're also making yourself aware to other people. I
so
think that's good.
that's the thing about that map is it's all hills essentially, right? And so to shoot one down, you have to stand up with a rocket launcher and shoot it. And it's pretty hard actually. Like it's a Panzerfaust, so it arcs like a fucking football. It goes super high and then it lands low, and it's really hard to predict. Um, but the out of all the maps I played, and I played every map at least 5 times, I have to say the best one still is something called Miramar, which is essentially Mexico, right? There's like illegal
I remember
gambling
that one.
dens.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, lots of buildings.
Lots of buildings, but it's also in the desert. And the reason why I like Miramar the most is that the topography of the map is consistent in the sense that it never really is. You're not very much in a disadvantaged place unless you like choose to be. Like there's always cover, there's always something to hide behind. And the gimmick on that map sometimes, because this gimmick is only applied to is only applied to certain maps sometimes, as weird as it sounds, is there are these things called special drops, and if you get a flare gun, you can shoot, and you either get an armored car or you get a drop that's like 6 drops. It's insane. But I'm gonna play this game probably one more week to hit level 80 and to play ranked and kind of come up with a final determination of what I think it, if you should play it nowadays or not. But yeah, this is probably the second to last week I'll be playing this game.
Yeah, right, dude. Sounds like you're. I mean, if you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it, dude. Like, it makes
Well,
me want to play.
me and my friends are like already like, hey, let's stop playing this game. There's other games to play, or right now it's the football playoffs. So everybody's watching football, and so we're kind of seeing everybody kind of like sway to different games already. So it's interesting.
It's on its way out. You think
Yeah,
you can read the room, right?
yeah. I still have 4 guys to play with, right? But the thing is, like, it went from like 9 people to now to 4 in a matter of like 2 weeks. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we do not have Christian here today, so we will not be playing Guess That Sound. So unless there's something you want to talk about, Emilio, we can move on to listener questions.
What do you think? Where are we at?
Yeah, we're good. If you want to talk.
It'll be quick. Lorcana is Disney's TCG. They are trying to do a Magic the Gathering, but Disney generally does things right most of the time. They're batting like 80% on most endeavors. They went to a company called Ravensburger, and that company did a bang up job. So I spent the weekend at Chad's house. If people don't know who that is the original caster. Um, we've been playing Magic the Gathering together for 20 years. He hasn't played. I haven't really played. I brought some commander decks. We played so much. My carpal tunnel fingers are like flaring up because all the shuffling we did. It was so great. It was so great. The kids played. We played. The ladies gossiped. Like everybody was getting what they need. It was awesome. Um, that said, we went to the card shop, and a little side note here, I paid $90 for a sliver deck. He paid $40 for a merfolk deck and just trounced me. 9 out of 10. No, he probably won every single time, and I was so mad because like I always wanted a sliver deck, and it's the only commander deck I ever wanted, and it's dog shit. It's not good at all. So we switched decks, and I beat him every time, and it's like, all right, I just wasted my money. But anyway, um, he bought a bunch of Lorcana stuff because he wants to start playing TCGs with his 3-year-old, which you're gonna have to wait a little while, dude. But I did not want to play. He's like, let's play. I want to learn how to play. He bought a bunch of stuff, pre-cons and extra packs and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I've been down this road. I've played the Pokemons. I played the Yu-Gi-Ohs. Like nothing really compares to Magic the Gathering. So I eventually, I'm drunk. He card raped me. I was vulnerable, and I was like, all right, let's play your stupid Disney game. Turns out hell of a game. Um, the the mechanics are extremely sound. Um, it's it's Magic the Gathering mechanics, but it's switched up in a way to maybe speed up the game a little bit and also make it less violent. You know, there's not like I attack you. It's more like I'll sing a song. But it all makes sense.
I'll
And
use my 30-foot dinosaur and stomp your and stop your fish person to the point where they're mush.
yeah, but now it's like I will sing about how sad I am and I will gain 3 points. So instead of taking away from your opponent, you're trying to gain lore, thus Lorcana. So you can tap your creature.
Boo.
It's actually pretty good, dude. Like, because
I'm
yeah,
kidding.
you'll
I'm
have to
kidding.
play it. You'll play it, Nick. I'm gonna buy some starter decks, because the family here they all love Disney stuff. I was shocked how good the mechanics are. Like they solved the issue of there is no getting mana flooded or getting mana burnt. It's really well done. Um, and I was very impressed by how good the mechanics are. The art is fantastic. They were art forward. It's not a little tiny picture. It's like I got Simba, and I was like, "Oh, this is Simba on Pride Rock. That's really cool." I got a foil. I was happy about that. I got there's not a lot of cards out there. Uh, you know, it hasn't had 30 years of refinement like Magic the Gathering, and you could tell that there's rough edges here and there. But if they keep doing this every year, it's going to be a hell of a contender. It really, really is. I was very impressed.
So, do they sell this as just like a box of pre-made decks, and those are the cards that you get, similar to the Star Wars card game that we played at DLG Con that Christian had bought, or is it like Magic the Gathering where you buy packs and you hope you get lucky with a good card?
Well, it's so they sell any TCG sales packs, and that's where they make the most money, but you take the smallest risk with the highest reward chance because these there is card alternate art cards that are going for $7,000 on the first season. Like, so we went there and we bought a bunch of cards, but they were all second printing of the first season, basically. As obviously the cost has come down, so we were buying packs at like $6, $7, something like that. But you can't find; they're all gone. Basically, you cannot find first printing of any of those cards. But yeah, you can buy pre-constructed decks, which you just buy a pre-constructed deck and you can play that day.
Are we
And
talking about Magic or Lorcana?
this is Lorcana.
Okay.
So pre-constructed decks ready to go. He bought like four pre-constructed decks and a bunch of like packs, but this is all second printing, so the value is way, way, way down. Um, but we had a great time with all of it, and yeah, you could buy, and I'm going to buy a couple of decks or maybe four decks for the house because all the ladies here they all love the Disney characters, and you're seeing everybody, and it's kind of like we've seen this before where you don't have that many characters, so you kind of stretch out who you have. So there's
Yeah,
Detective
there's like different
Mickey,
variations of each
yeah,
character. Yeah,
Detective Mickey, and there's
it'd be like
Aurora.
Ariel with legs at the
Yeah,
ball or whatever.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. But it's not. I didn't find it cheesy at all. Yeah, I had a good time. It's very good mechanics, very solid mechanics. I need to play it a little more to really dig into it, but I should be playing this within the next couple of weeks with family members. Like I'll give up Magic for being playing more kind of within my house just so I can play a TCG. You know what I mean? It's not it like I wouldn't have done that for Pokemon. I wouldn't have done it for Yu-Gi-Oh because the mechanics are just set up for whoever's got the best card. Um, Lorcana seems to be more magic-like, and yeah, I'm a fan.
What if they just started implementing, like they run out of character designs and they're like, this is lion number 12 from the background scene at 36 minutes.
I don't know. I feel like Disney's got a pretty deep pool.
Oh, you know what's going to happen is they're going to do Lorcana, right? And they're going to start implementing some of their other IPs. They're going to be like Lorcana cross Marvel and shit like that. Because even Magic the
Anything on
Gathering right
Disney
now,
Plus.
yeah, it's no longer Lorcana like Disney.
Dude,
It's
Star
Lorcana
Wars,
Disney.
Star
Yeah.
Wars. Why not? You
Yeah.
know?
There's rumors that there's going to be a Star Trek Magic the Gathering crossover. Ooh.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and so I'm probably gonna have to buy a new 8 commander deck box again and buy that when it comes out and shit. Yeah, that's all I had to say about that shit.
All right. Well, let's get to some listener questions. So we've only got 2 this week. One from
Shifty.
Shifty. Okay.
Shitty?
Shifty.
Did you say shitty?
No,
Bobby Cost.
No, I honestly, so I did the show notes. I typed all this stuff up, but honestly, I looked at that and I was like, is that right? Like, I don't remember that name, but okay. I'm going to assume that I correctly wrote everything down. But yeah, this is from Shifty. He asks, where did Nick land on Rogue Trader in the Game of the Year rankings? Or if it didn't make it anywhere on the list, what are his thoughts on its post-release?
Oh man, I feel special when someone asks me an individual question.
About
I like
Warhammer
Rogue
2.
Trader. Oh yeah, I'm actively trying not to talk about Warhammer podcast.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
You shouldn't, dude. We give you shit, but like, I mean,
There's also not that much Warhammer news right now, anyways. So as far as Rogue Trader, I think it's a great game. So far, I'm about 4 hours in. The thing is, the issues that I did start running, I ran into, I think I want to wait until they're fixed, like some of the animation things, some of the processing stuff. I think I want to wait till that's fleshed out before I continue the campaign. I'm also playing with my wife, which is really cool. She's playing the Sister of Battle and some other characters. It's not on my list for Game of the Year, not even close, because of the fact that I didn't play it that much. If I would have, put in 80 hours, 90 hours like I did at Baldur's Gate, maybe I can put it on the list. But as far as my version of Game of the Year, it's whatever was most fun to me, or things that I've changed life events for me to have to do to be able to play the game, right? Abandoning schoolwork, I did that for Baldur's Gate. Abandoning family, I did that for Baldur's Gate. That means I like the game the most. I'm going to be honest. When you start making movements in your life to play a game because you like it so much, that means you really like it.
I just realized right now that if you spell Shifty backwards, it spells Nicholas. So we know where that question came from.
But thanks, Shifty. Thanks, Self. Do you have a question, Bobby?
No. Okay. I was just making a stupid joke. Sorry.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, that's my answer to that question. Thank you, Shifty, for asking that. That was a Warhammer question for me.
All right. Next question from Atom. What movie in the past year would make a great video game? And you can pick a genre for it.
Let's look at the list of movies from last year.
Well,
I got a good one.
I feel like they always made like a very popular, any movie that was really popular or was a well-established IP, they had the video game lined up ready to go with it. So I'm kind of surprised we didn't have a Barbie movie, or I'm sorry, Barbie video game.
Did you watch the movie?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was great.
But it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I gotta watch it.
It's a huge IP. Like I don't know. Maybe not enough girls play video games, but I'm surprised we didn't. I also kind of feel like they didn't know how successful that was going to be. But you know what I would love? So Emilio probably remembers this, maybe Nick. But when Street Fighter the movie came out, they came out with a game called Street Fighter the movie.
Yeah.
Oh no! Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember that the release, but I know of it. I've seen it.
It was more Mortal Kombat than Street Fighter.
Yeah, it had the character models that were modeled after the actors in the movie, and it looked and played more like Mortal Kombat than it did Street Fighter. And it was very weird, very bizarre. I don't think very successful, but neither was the movie. But I don't know. I just like the idea, like, hey, let's make a video game about a movie about a video game.
How many branches are you gonna get to that point where you just start making Pong again? Dude, you know that movie is has one of my favorite lines of any movie, even though it's such a shitty movie, and it's the guy who plays Gomez that says it.
The guy who plays Gomez.
Yeah, from the Addams Family.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
he is M Bison, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a moment where Chun Li is like, I'm gonna like blah blah blah. You ruined my life. You killed my father and all this shit. And he goes, he's like, the important thing about that day is that was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was just Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how much of a fucking badass line is that? So like, I slaughtered your whole village, and now I don't care. Like, it was just a normal day for me. I'm like, dude, that's one of the best villain lines ever in cinema.
It's good. It's very good.
As far as movie that I would choose to be a video game, as a parent and as a guy who loves British comedy and stop motion clay films or claymation films, Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, which is the second Chicken Run movie, came out on Netflix. It is so good, dude.
Yeah.
I love British comedy. It's so funny. So we made my mom watch it because she wanted to watch a movie with Vivian, and Vivian's like, I want to watch Dawn of the Nugget. And my mom's like, what the fuck is that? And so we watched it, and she's like, why do they all have teeth? I'm like, Mom, they're supposed to show that they're British with their fucked up teeth. And she's like, oh. But I think you can make a first person shooter out of that, or like one of those like Lego game-esque things where it's like top down kind of, where you can switch between characters, because there's so many key characters in the movie. Like, there's a really fat chicken that's incredibly stupid. There's like a really big chicken that's really strong. There's like the guy chicken who's like who pretends to be an action hero, but really he's not that crazy. Like, he's not that athletic or anything. There's so many characters that you could use as like swappable characters in a video game that I think it would actually do pretty good. They are making a Wallace and Gromit game, but I think that's like a puzzle game. It comes out this year.
Okay.
I've got two answers. Oppenheimer, in the way that I don't think there's ever been like has there been a nuke game other than like
Civilization where you nuke each other?
Yeah, you're racing through the nukes, but not like something that's focused on the nuke side. I don't know. It's kind of dark, but I don't know. That might be cool. And the other one I saw here, I'm looking at the list of games that came out. Oh, the Ninja Turtles, but like focusing on the teenage. Like, if you watch that movie, first of all, have you seen it, Bobby?
No, not yet. I heard it's very
Oh,
good.
you
Though.
son of a bitch, dude! It's so
Yeah,
good.
didn't Ice-T have a big part in it as well?
He's one of the characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we say teenage, they're talking about like adolescent, 12, 13, 14 would be pushing it. They're barely turning 12 in this because I guess they're all the same age. I think they're brothers. But yeah, I thought it was so good. So to do even a beat 'em up side scroller from the point of view where you're not used to beating people up is very cool. And I would welcome one of those.
Like that old Ninja Turtle game in the arcade where there was 4 sticks.
Yeah.
Remember that? It was like a
Turtles
clone
in
of
Time.
Yeah, and then there was the Simpsons one where you could play as each Simpsons character or family member.
These are your memories from when you were 6, dude. This is like our memories when we were 12 or something like that.
I think you're misgrading the age gap here. You're like
Something like
43,
that.
right?
I'm 45.
Yeah, you're 12 years older than you're 14 years older than me.
Yeah, but I was playing games that were well over. I was way old. I was way too old to be playing those games.
Oh yeah, of course. That's everybody's gameplay, and even until nowadays. Wow. Yeah. What about you? Oh, you already said yours, Bobby, right?
Yeah. Barbie, the movie, the game.
And Street Fighter, the game, the movie, the game, the movie, the game.
Yep. All right. That's it for listener questions. What's everybody playing next week? I don't want to jinx it, but I did start playing Doom 3 today.
Oh, here we go. Are you streaming or not?
No, I haven't started streaming it. I should have. I totally could have streamed it today, but
I say don't stream it, just record it, and just
maybe.
it's more
Dude,
work.
that game's
But
kind of
getting
scary too. Maybe
yeah,
it'd be better if I streamed it, just so
It's
I didn't feel so
scary.
scared.
I'll be playing PUBG and starting a new campaign for Warhammer Total War.
tonight I'll be trying to play some. I don't want to get rusty at Cyberpunk. I just turned the difficulty up again another notch. I'm at very hard now because my character is just too strong. So I got to be on my toes now. I don't want to lose my cool, if you will. Um, I am currently going down the Johnny, the Keanu Reeves quest line, and it's funny, man, because he's a total fucking asshole at the beginning. I'm gonna give away a little bit here. Um, and he's inside your brain, and you want to be an asshole back. But it turns out if you're kind of a nice guy and you kind of understand the situation he's in, he starts becoming way cooler towards you. And it's way better to be friends with your roommate in your brain than be an enemy. Uh, yeah. So, yeah, it turns out being quite a friendship. If you want it to be, you don't have to go that way. But I'm going down that quest line, and it's story wise. I'm playing this game for the story more than I'm playing for the mechanics at this point, and for the world. And that's saying a lot because I don't usually do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I never do that.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like we got a good week of gaming coming up. And hopefully Christian will be back next week so we can see
Remember,
what he's up to.
Go down to dlgame.net and check out all our. We got dick pics, we got tit pics, all kinds of stuff. It's probably not true. Speaking for Bobby, Nick, and myself, we're gonna go with cyber titties.
Yeah, not that much clippable shit to show, but I got one. It's Emilio talking about Lorcana, so